Just waiting for it to load.
On mine.
Great. So welcome to this live stream. My name's Tabassum Sabir from Beautiful Coaching, and I'm joined with Isma Malik from Kids for You Coaching. And today we're bringing a really sought after video, a really sought after live stream about the lockdown life, because we've got another lockdown possibly impending. And I will hand it over to Isma, because there's a couple of questions that lots of people have had around children.
So we had this discussion a couple of days ago, and we were talking about how our clients were asking questions around mainly how to keep up their mental health positive around lockdown, but also with their children as well. And obviously at the moment, children are at school, so they have got that little bit of a routine going, but obviously a lot of classes are now off as well, because children are getting the virus or other family members. So we've had a lot of questions, and I'm sure you have too, around how to kind of look after your mental health and how to really deal with lockdown with children as well. So this is where this came about from with us. So one of the questions I had was around what needs to be done for a positive change during lockdown. So firstly, I think it's really important that children aside, you kind of work on your own routine. And I think routine is the only thing right now that we can work on and make progress with. And to be really aware of what is possible for us to do instead of focusing on what's not possible. Because really, like, okay, shops are closed and places are closed to take your kids as well, and I think that's a big struggle. But even the things that we are okay to do, like going for a walk, keeping your routine, so your sleep time and your waking up time the same, I think that's really key, to have that same routine of really focusing on what you do want to do for your day. And a lot of what I get a lot of is, what do we do in our day? Because obviously a lot of places are closed and stuff. So obviously with the children going to school, that's your kind of routine done. But really focusing on going for a walk, keeping up your half an hour, 40 minutes that you have to yourself before your kids wake up, and just keeping that routine going, but also thinking positively. And I think a lot of the time it sounds so simple, but in certain situations, because obviously there's a lot of deaths, there's a lot of negative news, watch the news less. Really just focus on the key points that you need to pick up and keep it at that. And I think a lot of the time, really to plan ahead for your day. So kind of get things ready, do things that really you've never got the chance to do. And we were talking about this ourselves, like there's so many to-do lists that we have that, oh, when I get time, I'm going to do this. And
with the kids.
With the kids and for yourself too, you know, and as if you're married, obviously as a couple, but most importantly is to keep your own mental health stable and high and positive. And it's not going to happen all the time. It's not going to be 24/7, you know, being on the happy pill, but really to understand the lessons that you can learn from this. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, that actually, what can we learn to take forward? Because we don't know yet how long it's going to last.
Absolutely.
And what the implications of it are going to be. And I think when we kind of come out of it, we're going to realize, but really, what do you want to change within yourself? Really, there's so much available now.
See, the thing with humans is, like, we crave certainty, don't we? And I think this situation puts us
100%
massively into
uncertain.
But like you said, a lot of the women that reached out, I mean, the biggest thing for most of them, for me, was definitely the routine change and not having time to themselves.
Yeah.
What was really interesting was asking them to create routines so they can still have time to themselves while the children are still in the home. A lot of women don't feel comfortable allowing their children just to let go and do things by themselves for a little while they had that, or they felt really guilty even if they had the iPad for like 10 minutes, just have 10 minutes to themselves. And I don't think that's as big a deal as what we make it out to be, especially during this time, I think.
And I think in schools as well, there's a lot of emphasis on it. Their routine, even within schools, is so different now. You know, dropping off times, it's earlier for some now. Everything's changed. Taking your temperature as soon as you walk in, cleaning your hands every, God knows, half an hour, you know. And if your own state is low, really the reflection is going to be on your children and the people that you live with. And I think it's really important that even with children, you kind of don't explain it to them in a scary way or a negative way. But you can only do that if you're positive in your own state. And I think that is the key, is to really, what can you do to achieve that positive state? You know, what in your home, you can still go for walks. You can still, we were saying this yesterday, like, imagine having lockdown, but not having no internet, not having a basic phone, you know. These are all opportunities, and online there's so much now available, people doing so much free stuff in order to help people. So really get out there. And yes, it's a very strange time. Yes, it's a lot of people have deaths in their families and illnesses in their families, and it's not an easy time. However, it's really important to understand what you need to do as a person, because only then can you help your children or help your other people around you. And mindset is key in all of this.
But do you think that's what's been highlighted to a lot of people, that they've realized their mindset is not where they thought it was?
There's a lot of appreciation now, I think, for really what the basics are that we didn't include in our life. And there's so much that the life that we did have was our norm, but there was so much missing from it too. The connection, the missing the family, you know, the need to see people. We took it for granted a lot of the time. And I think it's a really good time with children, especially, to really reflect on your blessings and to get that help that you need. And I think that is the biggest key, that a lot of people are realizing, like you just said, that help is needed.
Especially if you're like working from home. I know a lot of women have had to definitely get a lot more flexible with the way that they do things. Workplaces, some of them have been great, some of them have not been so great. Even working for yourself, it's building that routine. If you've not been that committed to it, it's been like, I found it really difficult initially, because for me, when the kids would go to school, I could just do things really at a nice slow pace, and I had to literally make sure I was getting my work done within 2 hours. I was taking calls. The first couple of weeks when I was having calls, they kept on knocking on the door, and as you know, with the work that we do, you know, mummy, and it's in between like a session. So I had to actually sit down and explain to them that we're, you know, mummy's taking a call, and that you can't not just knock on the door, and can you just keep yourself occupied for an hour, and so
I changed for them too.
So I had to learn to set them up with something that would keep them busy for an hour. So that was quite interesting,
and to know that that's okay. You know, children need
guilt. There was a lot of guilt.
There is going to be, but children need that time away too, just like we do. But obviously they might like it in doing their own thing and not just sitting there and reflecting, obviously, but really to allow your child to ask you those questions and to make those mistakes in what we see as mistakes, but for them, they're learning curves. Because it's all new to them too. You know, you obviously in your profession and in mine, we were going out. It was those hours, you know, so it's a change for everybody. And I think it's really important to know that, to go with the child's emotions. And a lot of the time, what you are going to find with children, and I found this with a lot of my clients, that their behavior doesn't come out, their negative behavior doesn't come out in that situation.
Yeah.
It will reflect in other things. They start wetting themselves, or they're getting really angry, or they're not sleeping properly at night. And that's because a lot of their stimulation is gone.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why, like, there's like that, a lot of parents are doing like the Joe Wicks online.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you need to now start thinking outside the box,
yeah,
to keep them motivated.
100%.
But at the same time, like somebody asked, how do you survive in a home? This is literally the question she asked. How do you survive in a home when you're not used to being around people and to have so much time together? Now, like we were talking about this a couple of days ago, and
yeah,
it's so scary that we're not used to living with the people that we're living with.
Yeah.
Because our routines are like that saying, we're ships in the night, you know. It's that routine of everybody's doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And really now to come together, and I think a big one, like I always say to all my clients, is do the love languages test. Before you do anything, do the love languages test to know what each of you need in that time. And your love languages will tell you what you need to also give yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good starting point to do it with your children, do it with your partner, do it with your in-laws, do it as a family, and actually make an evening out of it and find the answers. But firstly, whatever your answer comes up with, we'll post the link under this.
Let's do that,
for those people that don't have it. But really give that to yourself, and that you will see a massive shift in your emotions.
Yeah.
You know, I had a client yesterday. She messaged me and she's like, all through lockdown, I've lived on my phone. Literally, I've been on my phone. I've distracted myself fully. But since she'd done the test, she's like, I spend so much time away from my phone now.
Yeah.
And I give that time to myself. And she's like, I feel like a different person.
See one of the things that I found with the people being on technology, just while we're on that, is that people see, I've had the opposite with my clients. I've had people say that there's so much because they want to keep updated with the news and see what's going on. They've actually
it's very easily to stay distracted.
Yeah, but they've actually started to get anxious and worried about the way, like really starting to overthink. And I think the key is just controlling and limiting yourself on technology and news, what you're exposed to. Yes, you do need to keep informed, and it's extremely important you do, especially in the current circumstances. But at the same time, there's a limit of like how much. First of all, you're absorbing that information first thing in the morning. Which
I was just going to say, what are you taking in?
Yeah. And secondly, like, are you at a high vibration yourself, where you're able to take that information and be like, take it for what it is, as opposed to scare. I mean, like, looking at the statistics, it can be really scary what's going on. But at the same time, it's if we take it for what it is, and learn from it and follow all the instructions, that's what's key. I think.
It's like, I always describe it as having an allergy and having a list of foods that you can't have. If you focus on that list of foods, there's nothing left. But if you actually focus on what you can do in this situation, what is possible, what are you able to focus on? Okay, it may take behavior changes, it may take routine changes, but really, is it gonna, in 6 months' time, is this gonna be your new norm? In your routine, in your self-development, in your keeping your vibration high? Is this helping you in something that you wouldn't have even looked at 6 months ago? And I think that's really the key from this whole conversation, is to really be adaptable and be focused on what you want from it, because there is a lot of things still in our control. You know, what kind of foods are you eating? How much time are you spending on social media? How much time are you spending watching the TV?
How much time are your kids spending on?
How much time are your children spending?
Yeah.
How much time are you actually physically and emotionally present? Firstly, with yourself and with others around you.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that we found that were really, really good that I just wanted to share. So we started baking. Like, I'm not a baker. I do not like baking. Okay, my cake turned out beautiful, but it was just something that the kids really enjoyed doing. They had cake at the end of the day, and it was kind of like a nice way to. Obviously, it was really hard work to find flour.
But
but yeah, it was really fun. I mean, like, and we started to cook together sometimes, and that's been really nice. So I think it's we've got board games. We've got loads of board games.
Just from those things, how many skills are they going to learn which you didn't really have time for before?
No.
Or you didn't make time for, or you didn't really see the need for that task to be done. Whatever the reason, really, how much have your children learned from it?
Loads. And do you know what?
Even about themselves.
Yeah. It's so important, because obviously at school they learn the other things that they learn. They learn the academic stuff, but at home we've really been able to adapt, like talking to yourself. We've been really learning a lot of life skills, things that are really important, like cleaning up your dishes, cleaning the house, all the things, using the washing machine, you know, like life skills.
Literally, like we've got somebody across the road, and they, with their son, they literally, he's got all his tools out, he's got all this like wood, metal, he's just gone and picked it up, like, and they're like fixing things, and they're, you know, this, it's keeping this busy, keeping your mind busy in order to, but with a purpose too. The skills that you're going to learn, what you're going to achieve, and really to make the best out of the situation you're in. And really, as humans, in any situation, lockdown or no lockdown, that's what we need to do. And that's the focus. That
I think it's okay as well, just to have that little bit of the teething problems that you have.
Be in your emotions.
People think it's just, I should just be resilient, and I should just be it sometimes takes a bit of time. That's the whole point, that we need to adapt and learn. Definitely, like, there's a few things in my own personal life that I've learned, like, for example, I've realized I really need time by myself. And actually both me and my husband need time by ourselves, so that's something that we've learned, just to say, do you know, we can't be spending all of our time
being in your emotions is good.
Absolutely.
Being okay with not being okay is good, but at the end of it, not to stay in it and keep that hamster's wheel going, but actually to have a outcome with it. And all these emotions are normal. Do you understand? Like, we're humans that are built with these emotions. So to be in them is okay, but really, what deeply is it bringing up for you?
Because we talk about negative emotions, but they're not bad for you. The negative emotions are always information. They're not negative, for one thing. They're normal human emotions. But they're also
teaching you something.
Exactly. I think that's what, because in our line of work we always talk about emotions as they're negative. I think people get us, I should not be angry, I should not be. If you are getting those emotions and those signals, what is it teaching you? What is your body trying to signal to you that you need to stop and think about?
What's it bringing up?
What's
the deeper message that it's giving you?
Because a lot of people have been triggered during this time as well.
And I think it is very normal to, though, because we are so, like you say, creatures of habit, creatures of routine. We're used to that, going into the office and working, and then coming home and having a different life. But this is all in one now. This is all, you're working from home, you're eating at home, you're living at home, you sleep, you know, everything is at home. And it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to talk about those emotions. But at the same time, I will say that, what is it bringing up for you internally? What do you need to really be looking at about yourself also internally at the same time?
And what I found a lot of
100%.
What I found a lot of women were coming back with was like, oh, I just don't have any time to myself. But did you actually make time for yourself before? And they would say, well, time to myself would be going out to do the food shop. So then that could start conversations of like, is that really time to yourself? Is that really what you need to recharge? Sometimes it was enough just to get out and do the food shop and be away from the family for a little while and have some time. Some people enjoy food shopping, but really that's not what we mean when we talk about self-care, is it? That's something
and it is adapting that. It's changing the outlook on really what I thought was the norm. And another question was, what else did I have? How to keep your children's mindset positive. So I think it depends on a lot of how you are.
Yeah, I was going to say it starts with you.
Yeah, the key around children is where your mindset is for yourself, because that will be a domino effect on how your children are, because how you respond, how you take things, how you do things is going to be the reactive of your children.
Yeah.
But generally, to not be so positive that it's not real.
Yeah, toxic positivity, there's that as well.
Yeah. And I think that's really important, that you don't make it out that it's not okay for them to not be okay.
Yeah.
And I think create that time where you are very present with them and they can ask you, because it might be something that's come up at school. It might be something that's they've read or they've seen, like in passing on the news that you've had on, or somebody else has said something at school which they want to clarify. And that plays on their mind, you know? Yeah. So really to be okay with them not being okay too. But where are you again? It comes back to yourself and how you are dealing with things, which is going to have a direct impact on your children.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange one, because we're not certain what's going on. It's very difficult to be certain with children or to give them reassurance, but you still can. I mean, of course, you can still say, look, we're just basing our actions now based on what the government's basically explaining to us. We had to stay at home for a couple of weeks because we had a positive case in our family, and that was really difficult for the kids to understand, because they just had half term. They went in one day and then had another 2 weeks off, and then now going in this week they've just been really, really, well, it's the little one's been quite upset. So it's really like trying to explain to them what's going on, like why we've not been allowed to see certain members of family, why we have to isolate, why we're not allowed out. There's lots of things which are really, really almost quite difficult to explain to a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, for example.
Yeah, and I think what you just said, explaining to them on their level of what you know your own child. You know how much they understand, you know how much they're going to take in, you know how they're going to take it. So really to explain it on their level of understanding and really to give them what they need. And if they're old enough, ask them, what can I do for you? What is it that you need from me? And it has changed a lot of relationships. And I think, to be real with everything, it has changed relationships. It has changed mindsets. It has changed the way we look at things. But is it really all bad if we focus on what we are in control of?
Well, that's just it. It's only bad if we focus on the bad, right?
On the bad, yeah. And really to focus on, what's this teaching me? Is it time for me now to get some support? Are other things coming up which you didn't really have time to think about from maybe your own childhood or your own upbringing or your own learning, which you didn't really reflect on before, but now it's kind of surfacing? So is it something external that you need more support with?
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to sit with yourself and recognize those things.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a huge influx of inquiries for coaching. And I think that's something that we just wanted to flag, because I know that a lot of people have
coming up a lot for a lot of people now.
Yeah, a lot of people have really, really questioned what they're feeling, how they're feeling, why they are feeling this way. Most people come and say, oh, we're really struggling to cope right now, or I haven't had the self-confidence. Self-confidence is coming up quite a lot.
Self-worth and self-confidence, I think.
But why do you
think children as well?
Yeah, but why do you think this has been so highlighted more in lockdown, like, as opposed to normally?
More time, I think, to think about things.
Right.
When you're learning a new skill is when the confidence comes out. And a new skill, I don't mean like baking, or I mean literally learning to adjust.
Yeah.
And to change the way you think. Because it is, we all have had to change the way we think.
Yeah.
And I think the confidence issue is mostly always there from a younger age.
Yeah.
But because now we're having to become more resourceful, it's coming up a lot more. And I see it in children a lot. Like a lot of parents are like, oh, she's not sleeping at night, or she's failing at school. And really, they're not failing, they're just adjusting. Because naturally, when something is increased, something else decreases.
Yeah.
And they just need that time to emotionally understand what's going on within them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot. There's a lot of anger in children. Sleep is a big one, and self-confidence. I think they're the three main things that I get a lot of inquiries or like concerns around. And I think it's really important to just let them be. And I'm not saying ignore the issue, but really give them a few days or a week to just settle into that change. There's so much going on within schools, and you just need to be okay with them also not being okay. But what is it bringing up in you?
Yeah. See, I don't know about other people's experiences, but I found like our school's been fantastic when it comes to the kids coming back, the kids' emotions. Apparently they've started this something that we weren't aware of as parents initially, but they started an emotional diary when they got back this year, which I thought was fantastic. Yeah,
they should be doing anyway.
I know they should, and hopefully we'll encourage that. But that was really interesting. There's lots of like when the kids were off, for example, and when they got back and they're like, oh, we really miss the kids and how they've been doing and how are you, mum? And it's just really lovely.
And you got to remember, it's new for schools too. All education settings, they're kind of being told what to do and running by it.
Yeah.
And it's new for them too. So really it's teaching us a lot about how adaptable as humans we really are, which we don't, in our day-to-day life, we don't challenge or test ourselves to that limit because we don't need to. It's routine, it's habit, it's done, that's it. But really it's challenging us differently. And I think that's the biggest lesson in this, that things are adaptable.
Yeah.
You know, are schools going to open? Are they not going to open? How are they going to run it? Now it's like almost normal the way they're running it.
Yeah.
And the times they're running it at and the times they're finishing at and how they're sending home homework. And it's just become norm. But for a lot of people, like obviously there's a lot of financial hit as well. There's a lot of extra worries that children don't always understand. And just be okay with that. Just be okay with what's going on in order for you to deal with it.
Yeah, it can be quite stressful for some people initially.
Yeah,
that's
of course it is. 100%.
But definitely I'm finding that the schools have just been fantastic. And like you said, the education centres are dealing with all of this stuff as well for the first time, so they're doing the best they can. And I feel like sometimes people target the schools or people target education centres as if this is something that they've done before or they should know how to deal with, but this is like
they don't. And you got to remember they're told a lot of things that they've just got to run by, and deep down sometimes even they don't agree with them, but it's the rules and they have to do it. You know. But I think somebody else asked a question as well, is it important to create a timetable? Yes, if it works for you. It doesn't have to be so rigid because obviously there's a lot of changes, but at the same time, waking up time, sleeping time, what you're kind of going to eat, how you're going to keep active, and what new things are you going to learn in that day. Like I always say to my clients, don't create it so rigid that you don't want to change it, but don't create it so free that it doesn't push you and motivate you to do things. If it works for you, then do it, but don't force yourself and don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to conform, because I think sometimes when we become people of habit, that habit then becomes the norm.
I definitely agree with having a loose timetable, because I think
I think it really does help. It does help a lot of people, and it keeps people going, and it it gives you that reason to get up in the morning and create that structure and really have time to yourself and know what's happening. Like you said at the beginning, we are creatures of wanting to know, and if we can control that day, then that's a lot.
See, I know that's really small, but again, that is a small amount of certainty that we get if we're planning out a week or planning out a day. we've got some
brings some certainty.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really good to pass on to the kids, so that when
Mm-hmm.
they're feeling overwhelmed, this is something that you can get down. I do this a lot with my clients, like
Yeah.
the timetabling, the structuring, the
Yeah.
color blocking. It's just fantastic. And you also get to see, are you really putting in as much time into the things that you really want to? Like, for example, are you getting you time? Are you spending time? One thing I found when we first started lockdown was I was doing all the school stuff with the kids, and then actually I wasn't spending any other time with them, like free time with them.
Yeah.
And that's when we started to get the board games and stuff, and
Yeah.
and all sorts of other things that we've learned since. But
And I always say to my clients that make a tick list.
Yeah.
Don't make it a timetable, make a tick list, and you will see over the days what you're not doing. Is it where you're not giving time to yourself? Is it where you're not planned enough for like your meals? Is it you're not getting your it will come, and I always tell them to color code it. It will come up to see, to show what you are doing.
Yes, 100%.
And it's amazing with children because they can see, like if you tell them the blue, I tend not to use red as it comes across as a very negative color, and but just pick 2 colors, and which color you're not doing, put a circle on it, and they can see themselves really what they need to start doing, and it motivates them to kind of do something new, and it's amazing, like the changes they have. They're resilient children. They will adapt to whatever is going on around them. It's how we as adults deal with it and put it forward.
Does that mean that we kind of like just become less resilient as adults, or do we just become so used to
creatures of habit?
Yeah.
And we don't really spend a lot of time. And I think we were like this pre-coaching, but we don't spend a lot of time reflecting on ourselves and really what comes up. We find it very uncomfortable to sit with ourselves.
Yeah.
There's so many distractions that really sitting alone and reflecting and taking that time out, it's rare.
Yeah, we all lead very busy lives, don't we?
So did you have any questions?
I didn't have any specific questions. There are just a couple of things I just wanted to mention that I have found personally really useful, found really useful with clients. So we constantly talk about gratitude journaling, which is like massive, or just if you don't even journal, just to say gratitudes every day. People often, like, you either get 2 types of people. You'll get people that go, okay, I'll do that, or you get people that roll their eyes. But this is scientifically proven to reset your mind and in a really positive way. And it's something that you encourage that I started doing with the kids on the way to school. And that has been completely...
it takes 5, especially with children, it takes 5 minutes. And if you do it before their day starts,
it's fantastic.
It really does change the mindset.
But secondly is journaling, like just journaling about how you're feeling, especially when you get, I think, triggered by something that's going on. It's really, really good to understand where that's come from. And just the self-care. And I think a lot of people, I think I did a post on this recently where I talked about how people use self-care as a reward. It shouldn't be a reward. It should be something that is in your
practice.
It's just something that you do in your week all the time, every week. Some people use it as a reward, and then we kind of work ourselves into a complete
it becomes like I deserve it, or I don't have time for it, or it becomes it's not important thing.
So it's really, really key to make sure that you're getting your self-care. The children actually understand, because even the children seeing you do that, it instills that into them as well.
I was going to say that your children are now, because you're at home, they're seeing a lot more. A lot of religious places are closed in the evening, so there's not that time away from them that time, so they're absorbing. It's called children's CCTV cameras. Literally, they are absorbing a lot more. So really, it's not about what you're necessarily doing only, or what you're only feeling. It's intertwined. And they observe a lot, and they take on a lot. So really teach them indirectly what self-care is, why it's important to look after yourself, really why it's important to keep your vibe high. And really to focus on not only what they can see, but what they can feel. You go into a home, you don't need to be told that you're not wanted there, or you're not welcome there, or you can feel it. And that's energy. And that's why it's so important to keep that up with them, because they're seeing a lot more, they're feeling a lot more, they're thinking a lot more.
Yeah. And I think this has also helped people to focus on their relationships with their families, because there are some people that experience strained relationships.
Yeah.
There are some people that have fantastic relationships with their family and then they're unable to see them for ages. So people are making use of stuff like Zoom, because
Zoom calls,
Zoom calls, StreamYard,
video time, FaceTime.
Really, really important just to keep that up and just keep
and even have a routine with that as well.
Yeah.
Like and another thing is, it came up, but I was gonna really to reevaluate your relationships. This is an amazing time to really focus on who you do want to keep, who keeps that energy high around you, who helps you to keep that energy high, and really to spend time, and even on FaceTime and Zoom, speak to those people that are a part of that journey for you.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's an amazing time, I think, to reevaluate those relationships.
Yeah. But also
everything that we really didn't get time to do before, and it was so normal to just live in that life.
Yeah.
I think there's so much positive that can come from this too.
Yeah, but you can also focus on people that need that extra support around you. But again, you need to get yourself up to a certain level.
It comes back to the self, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that you can support other people, otherwise you're not going to be able to support.
It's an amazing time that teaches us to let go of the need of anything.
Yes, definitely.
And when you let go of that need,
it becomes,
as we learned through our journeys, and when you let go of that need, it will come. It happens. And what you believe and what you think is the outcome that you will automatically work towards. Your body, your mind will sync when you believe something is possible.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the key. Mindset in this is key.
Yeah.
And to get that help, to really understand that, okay, you know what? I've done all I can. Now I need some support.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's really helped people to be okay with asking for help.
Yeah.
So really there's so much positive that has come from it. And the life skills that you can teach yourself and your children from this are invaluable.
That's a great way to
really invaluable. Really, really. They are. They're going to help them for life.
Yeah.
And to teach yourself that don't get stuck in habit. Really spend time on your own.
Yeah. You want resilient children, so what are you doing?
Yeah. Seclusion is amazing. It can do amazing things.
Absolutely.
So they're all the things that I had. Just to learn a new skill, connect with the online world, connect with yourself, connect with, if you're in religion, connect with your religion, and to just really, it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah. Take some time for yourself and
really, take that time and reach out if you do need that help with yourself or your children, and be okay with that.
Yeah, and on that note, both Isma and I have free groups where we support mums, and even if you're not a mum, that's it's not just for mums,
women, children,
women for mindset, and children as well. Yep. So yours is the Resilient Mum on Facebook, and mine is Beautiful. Just give us a shout or drop us a message if you would like.
Definitely
to support you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for being here, and I shall catch you later.
Inshallah.
Figure out how to switch this off.